Before we dive into this story, make sure you like this video and subscribe, because what you're about to hear is not just a story, it's a ride. A ride of betrayal, secrets, and survival. Stick with me until the end, because nothing is what it seems. Part I. Shadows of the city. The rain hadn't stopped for 3 days. Neon lights flickered against wet asphalt, painting the streets in fractured reds and greens. The city never slept, but tonight it felt awake in a different way, watchful, like a predator waiting for its prey. Ethan Cole tightened the collar of his jacket and walked faster. He had been followed for 2 blocks now. He didn't need to glance back, he could feel it. The rhythm of footsteps, to deliberate, to consistent. His pulse quickened. And then it happened. A shadow broke from the alley and pressed something cold and metallic against his ribs. A voice whispered, "Run, and you're dead." Ethan didn't run. Instead, he said calmly, "You're late." The man behind him froze. That wasn't the response he expected. The deal for weeks, Ethan had been working undercover. Officially, he was just another washed-up journalist chasing rumors. Unofficially, he was digging into something much bigger. The Syndicate, a network that ran half the city's black markets, politicians, and private security firms. The man in the alley was his contact, or supposed to be. A runner named Cade. But the way Cade's hand trembled on the gun, Ethan knew something had gone wrong. "You weren't followed?" Ethan asked. Cade shook his head. "No. But listen, we don't have much time." "They know." "Who knows?" Cade's eyes darted nervously at the shadows. "Everyone." That was when the second pair of footsteps echoed at the mouth of the alley. The betrayal begins. A tall figure stepped forward, umbrella in hand, immaculate suit untouched by the rain. Ethan's chest tightened. He knew that face. Marcus Vane, the Syndicate's fixer. Cold, calculating, ruthless. The kind of man who didn't show up unless the game was already over. "Cade," Marcus said smoothly, "you did well bringing him here." Ethan's blood turned cold. He turned to Cade. "You set me up." Cade's voice cracked. "I didn't have a choice, Ethan." They have my sister." Marcus smiled thinly. "Loyalty can be persuaded." Gunfire in the rain. The next seconds blurred. Marcus raised his hand, signaling something unseen. Gunshots cracked from the rooftops. Cade collapsed instantly, red blooming across his chest. Ethan dropped behind a trash bin as concrete chipped and sparked above him. He drew his pistol, firing blind into the rain. 2 silhouettes fell. The others scattered. By the time Ethan looked back, Marcus was gone, leaving only the echo of his laughter in the storm. A warning from the dead. Cade was dying, blood mixing with the rain. He grabbed Ethan's sleeve with trembling fingers. "You have to find her. The files. City Hall. Inside the tower. They'll kill everyone." His voice broke, and then he went still. Ethan clenched his jaw. Whatever Cade had been forced into, he had tried to make it right at the end. Now Ethan was alone with more questions than answers and one hell of a target on his back. The tower. The next night, Ethan stood across the street from the towering glass structure that loomed over downtown, Vane Industries. A corporate giant by day, a criminal empire by night. If there were files hidden in there, they were behind layers of security. He checked his watch. Midnight. He had one chance. Breaking into the tower was suicide. But Ethan wasn't planning on walking out alive anyway. Not this time. Inside the den, he bypassed the first 2 floors with stolen access cards, his pulse steady, his breath controlled. But the deeper he went, the stranger it became. Empty hallways, guard stations abandoned, as if the place had been cleared ahead of time. And then he saw her. At the far end of the hall, silhouetted by the sterile glow of white lights, stood someone Ethan hadn't seen in 5 years. Someone he thought was dead. Clara. Her smile was cold, almost mocking. "Hello, Ethan." His world tilted. Clara had been his partner, his lover, his ally in the fight against the Syndicate. She had died in a fire set by Marcus himself, or so Ethan believed. But now she was here, alive, and wearing the emblem of Vane Industries on her jacket. Clara stepped closer, her eyes unreadable. "You shouldn't have come back, Ethan. Not after what you did." "What I did?" Ethan whispered, confusion and betrayal crashing together in his chest. The alarms blared suddenly, red lights flashing across the sterile walls. Footsteps thundered from all directions. And Clara. She didn't move to help him. She simply turned and walked away, leaving Ethan surrounded. That's where we'll pause. This is only the first half of the story. If you're hooked already, smash that like button and subscribe, because the second half will reveal secrets, betrayals, and a twist that will flip everything upside down. Before we continue, don't forget to like this video and subscribe, because the deeper we go, the darker it gets. You've seen only half the truth. Now it's time for the rest. Party. The truth in the shadows surrounded red sirens, painted the glass corridors like rivers of blood. Ethan's back pressed against a wall, pistol raised, heart hammering. Boots thundered closer from both ends. He was trapped, and Clara had left him. Drop your weapon. A voice barked. Dozens of rifles leveled on him. Ethan's jaw clenched. He considered going out guns blazing. Then, a hiss of static in his earpiece, a voice he didn't expect. Down the left corridor. Now. He didn't ask questions. Ethan dove, bullets shredding the wall behind him. The voice guided him through blind turns, sealed doors that slid open just in time, and stairwells crawling with guards. Finally, he burst into a dark service tunnel, chest heaving. "Who the hell are you?" he muttered. The voice replied, "An old friend. We don't have time. If you want answers about Clara, about all of this, meet me at Pier 17. Midnight. Come alone." Then the line went dead. Pier 17. The docks reeked of salt and rust. Cargo containers loomed like silent tombs. Ethan arrived early, gun at his side. Every sound made him twitch gulls, waves, creaking steel. At midnight sharp, a figure emerged from the fog. It wasn't Marcus. It wasn't Clara. It was Detective Harris, Ethan's former handler, the man who'd recruited him years ago before disappearing without a trace. Ethan's eyes widened. "You're supposed to be dead." Harris smirked. "That makes two of us." The revelation: they sat inside an abandoned warehouse, dim light slicing through broken windows. Harris lit a cigarette, his face carved with age and guilt. "Clara didn't betray you, Ethan. Not at first. We both did." Ethan froze. "What are you talking about? You were never just investigating the syndicate. You were part of an operation called Black Glass. You volunteered to go under so deep. We had to erase your memories of it. Clara was your partner, but also your handler. When the fire happened, she didn't die. She was pulled out." Ethan's throat tightened. "You're lying." Harris exhaled smoke. "No. Marcus found out the truth and turned her. He offered her what we couldn't, power. And now she's not just working for him. She's running half the syndicate." Ethan's world cracked open. Memories flickered like broken film reels, missions, files, Clara's coded words whispered at night. How much had been real? How much had been a lie? Into the lion's den Harris slid a drive across the table. "This is everything we have left on Black Glass. Plans, names, the leverage Marcus fears most. Get it into the right hands, and you can burn his empire." Ethan pocketed it. "Why me?" "Because," Harris said, stubbing out the cigarette, "you're the only one left who can still stop Clara." Reunion 2 nights later, Ethan infiltrated another syndicate safe house. But this time, he didn't sneak. He wanted Clara to see him. She did. In the center of a lavish suite, surrounded by syndicate lieutenants, Clara sat like a queen on her throne of glass and steel. When she saw Ethan, her lips curved into a dangerous smile. "You never learn, do you?" she said softly. "Why?" Ethan demanded, voice cracking. "After everything, why join him?" Clara rose, walking slowly toward him. "Because Marcus showed me the truth." "You think you were fighting the syndicate?" "No, Ethan. You were fighting for them. You always were." His blood ran cold. "What?" She leaned in, her breath brushing his ear. "You and I built Black Glass. Together. The only difference is, I remembered." Collapse. The lieutenants moved to strike. Ethan fired first, chaos erupting. Bullets shattered glass, smoke grenades filled the room. Shadows danced in strobe flashes. Clara didn't flinch. She stood calmly in the storm, watching him with eyes full of both fury and sorrow. At the last second, Marcus himself appeared, dragging Clara back. "Not yet," he hissed. "He needs to suffer first." Explosives detonated. The building crumbled. Ethan barely escaped through fire and twisted steel, the drive still clutched in his hand. But Clara and Marcus vanished into the night. The choice days later, the city burned with syndicate violence. Ethan sat alone on a rooftop, the drive glowing in his palm. Inside it was the truth, enough to dismantle Marcus, to expose Clara, to end everything, but also enough to reveal his own sins, his past as an architect of the very nightmare he had sworn to destroy. If he released it, the world would know what he really was. If he kept it, Marcus and Clara would continue their reign. The city roared below, sirens and screams blending into the storm. Ethan closed his eyes and pressed the button. Screens across the city lit up with files, videos, evidence pouring into the public eye. The syndicate fractured. Politicians fell. Protests ignited. Marcus disappeared. Clara vanished with him. Ethan became a ghost, hunted by the very people he saved, hated as much as he was thanked. His face on every screen, his name both cursed and whispered like a legend. Some called him traitor. Others called him hero. But Ethan knew the truth. He was both. If you stayed with me through the end, you're a real one. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories filled with betrayal, twists, and fire. Because remember, nothing is ever what it seems. The end.